Today FM, it's Dermot and Dave, and just quick hello, we should say, to young Michael, who's 8. He's a massive Picture This fan. He loved hearing them a couple of minutes ago. He's homesick today as our pony stood on his foot. He's so brave and is resting today and having a movie day with Mammy. Thank you. God, that sounds very sore, Michael. I hope your foot's all right. And sure, a movie day with Mammy. What could be better than that? Lots of your texts coming in. Saw A Quiet Place Part 2 last night. Took me about 2 hours to feel normal again after it. The tension. Oh, my God. Just as good as the first, though, says Madeline. And someone else says, saw A Quiet Place 2 last night. It did not disappoint. So good. And no ghost children, Dermot. You should be okay with this movie. I know, I can't do horror movies, particularly ones with ghost children in it. You know, the kind of children who point in one direction, but they're looking at the floor? That absolutely terrifies me. So it is a brilliant film. Of course, myself and Dave got a sneak peek at A Quiet Place 2 before it hits cinemas, and it's in the cinemas now. And star of the film is Cork, an Irish actor, of course, Cillian Murphy. You'll know him from massive films like the Dark Knight movies, the Batman films, Christopher Nolan ones back in the noughties, and of course he is Thomas Shelby in Peaky Blinders, as well, as we've been chatting about this morning already on the show. But A Quiet Place 2 is his latest film. It's absolutely brilliant. Myself and Dave caught up with him for a chat about the film.
Hi lads.
Cillian, congratulations on A Quiet Place 2 and the role of Emmett.
Thanks a mil.
Is it true that you wanted to email or call John Krasinski after the first one but didn't, but then he called you?
Exactly. I went to see it with my boys, and I was absolutely knocked out by it. I think it may have been my favourite film of that year. I don't know what year it was. Maybe it's 2018. And I didn't know John or Emily. I'd never met them or worked with them. But occasionally I'll do this. I'll write an email to someone, and I wrote the email and just saying how brilliant I thought it was, and what an excellent piece of cinema it was. And then I just got too embarrassed. I didn't send it, so I never sent it. And then I just thought, well, he doesn't need to be hearing from me, and it sounds a bit like I'm, looking for something that I wasn't. But then, a year later, he emailed me back, or not back, but he emailed me.
Right. God, if only we knew it was that easy to get into films. All you got to do is watch a film in the cinema and just email the director. Go, hey,
or don't, just write a draft email and then not do
it. Yeah. So if I drop you an email, can we be in Peaky Blinders? Is that how it works?
Well, draft one. We'll talk about it then.
Yeah. But your character Emmett is, there's a lot of meat on the bones there. That character. Actually, we should probably set the scene a little bit for our listeners who maybe haven't seen the first movie and are new to the Quiet Place world. It's a small town in America. There's these strange aliens arrive. There's a family that have to try and survive, and the whole thing about these creatures is that they react to even the slightest sound. So if you make a sound, you're dead, and that's pretty much the premise for everything. So, but your character Emmett is, as I said, there's a lot of meat on the bones of that character because he reacts quite differently in his world to all the challenges, compared to the other characters in the movie.
Yeah, and when we meet him, we know very little about him. You have no context, you have no history. And then as the film progresses, you begin to learn bit by bit why he is where he is, why he's behaving the way he's behaving. And, he goes on this kind of journey geographically and emotionally over the course of the film. And then it becomes clear why he is the way he is. And then he changes throughout it. But I suppose he's in a state of grief or loss when we first meet him, and he's isolated himself and retreated, which is in stark contrast to how the Abbotts they're kind of trying to reach out to the world. They're trying to find a community, and he's doing the opposite. He's just kind of retreated.
And without spoilers, do you think that in this movie, as you said, even geographically, we kind of zoomed out a bit away from the Abbotts, farm or whatever, again, without spoilers. But do you think that maybe for A Quiet Place, the geographical and the kind of, the zoom out is how we get the 3, the 4, maybe even the 5 and up to 10, because we know hints from the first movie that this is a worldwide alien invasion, but we stayed focused on the Abbotts farm in 1, a little bit more in 2.
I mean, I don't know, but I do think it's a really elegant way of telling a story, because the traditional way is to start big, and you always see like New York being destroyed, and then you find the characters. Whereas this is the opposite. It starts really little, and then little by little you begin to learn about what's happened and why they are where they are. So if they want to do more, I think that's what they'll do. They'll keep zooming out, as you say, and introducing more characters and going further afield. But I love the way they've kept it. They still managed to keep it very intimate and very personal, and really it is about, the first one I think was really about family. This is maybe just more about community.
Yeah, I'm so glad this film didn't go onto streaming services and that you've kept it for the cinema, because we obviously got to go to it. People haven't been to the cinema in so long. Not only was it just a treat to be in a cinema watching a film, but this is very much a movie theater film, because sound is such an integral. The sound is almost the main character of the film as well. And myself and Dave were watching a video just for our own curiosity on how they put the sound together and the importance and the intricacies of how they bring the audience along through the medium of sound. And I mean, is that something you're ever aware of while you're actually filming? Are you aware of how it's being set up?
Not generally, but having seen the first one, I knew that was the way the second one would go. And it's such a beautifully simple idea. I mean, that's what makes it original and sets it apart. You can't make a sound or you will die. I mean, why had no one had thought of that before? I don't know. But but yes, it needs to be seen if it's possible to see it, because it's shot on film, to see it on that big screen with that surround sound, and the sound design is extraordinary in it. And when I saw it with my kids, there was no talking in the cinema. No one was on their phones. No, the first one, there was no one eating snacks, all the things that I hate about the cinema. There was none of that, and everyone was collectively invested in the story, and was sort of in this physical state of tension watching it. You don't want to move. So you need to watch it with strangers in a dark room. I think if possible, that's the premium experience.
Yeah, one of the things that we noticed in watching that little thing Dermot was talking about there, the documentary about it, was that they wrote the first movie script using different fonts that you wouldn't traditionally use in a script, and using images and using font sizes and pages where it's just one word written on it. When you got your script for the role of Emmett, did you see that kind of stuff in it, or was yours a traditional, actor script?
Oh, that's a good question. I still have that script somewhere. I must dig it out. All I remember was that it was very slim. It was about 70 pages or something, because there's so little dialogue. There's just mostly stage direction. So you have to really, really concentrate on reading the stage direction to figure out what's actually happening. Because normally, traditionally, there's pages and pages of dialogue and then a tiny bit of stage direction. But this was the opposite.
I find it funny that you're having a go at people for eating snacks in the cinema when I happen to know that you're a man who puts jalapenos on his popcorn. So you're in no position to comment.
Yeah, but that's a silent experience. You can silently do that, I think.
I'd be silently disgusted if I sat beside you. I'll be honest. What's it like acting with the creatures who are they're one of the best kind of alien creatures I've seen, but I presume it's green screen acting you're doing alongside them, but it's so brilliant.
There was no green screen acting whatsoever on it. All of the locations were real. Where Emmett lives was in this old disused huge disused steel factory in upstate New York. It looks like some ancient civilization, or that's just crashed to earth. And so we didn't have any green screen whatsoever, and mostly, you're just running away, and then they drop in the creature after. But there wasn't any green screen, so it felt very real, and it felt like you're in the environment all the time.
So did they have models, or was it robotics, or are you ever seeing any of the creatures? You know, those moments where you're crouched down behind and it's walking around. What are you seeing?
Generally nothing. Once or twice there was like a very big, burly stuntman in a sort of a black thing, like a completely black onesie, like a onesie with a claw. Occasionally you'd see that, but mostly it was just actors using their imagination, which I much prefer.
Emmett has a very impressive beard, and in this movie, would you grow one recreationally or just for roles?
Well, it was quite alarming when it came out multicolored. That was a new development.
That's your Irishness.
I know. It was kind of liberating, you know, not having to shave or do any of that for months at end. And probably recreationally, no, probably. I mean, I do a moustache occasionally if I'm in the mood, but not a full beard. It's gone a bit Santa Claus now, you know.
Totally, I feel you.
Quickest way to an early divorce is grow yourself a moustache. Can we talk about Peaky Blinders? Obviously, you know, the whole world has been waiting for the next season, the final season, season 6. The last time we saw Tommy, he was a sort of peak inner demon. Obviously, you know, I know you can't tell us too much, but in terms of Tommy's journey, where's his head at in season 6?
It feels that season 6 is like the second part of series 5. It feels like the extension of that story, because, like you say, we didn't conclude that story. It's very gothic this year. That's the word that I've been using when describing it to people for some reason. And there's an awful lot going on because it is going to be the final series. So there will have to be some sort of resolution. So there's a lot of threads being tied up and a lot of storylines coming to a conclusion. I know that's very vague, isn't it? But that's all I can really tell you.
Yeah. Well, look, we wanted to offer our condolences because I know you lost your good pal and cast member and star of the show and many other great things like the Harry Potter movies and Skyfall and films like that. Helen McCrory, of course, I'm talking about. It must have added a real difficulty to shooting what would be difficult anyway in terms of it being the last season.
Oh yeah, I mean it's been desperately sad. Sad for all of us and everyone that knew her and was close to her and you know, all her fans. And she's the matriarch of Peaky Blinders, and I think my closest colleague on the show, and the Tommy storylines were always my favorite, and she was without doubt one of the best actors I've ever had the pleasure of working with, but on top of that, just an extraordinary human being, you know. So it's really, really sad. And we're all still kind of dealing with it like everybody else. And we really miss her.
You are shooting Peaky, though, and obviously there's been other stuff happening around the world. How's the lockdown period been for you, professionally and personally, but professionally particularly, that you can only get back to this stuff kind of in recent times?
Well, yeah, Peaky was originally supposed to shoot in March, and Quiet Place was supposed to come out in March, so everything was stopped for a year, like so many other things. And it's strange, you know. It's strange because there's like two versions of if we had shot this series a year ago, it would have been entirely different. But we're shooting it now, so you kind of have to just go with that. And the film is coming out now. I don't know if anyone has really enough sort of distance or objectivity on it all to sort of say, well, this is how I feel. I don't really know how I feel about it. You know, I didn't work for 18 months, which was interesting, and there was lovely things about it. You know, we tried to make the best of it at home. That was kind of nice. So I don't know. I guess when I stop working again, and maybe have some time to process everything that's gone on. It's been wild, you know.
You mentioned the Peaky Blinder film there. Do you have a timeline for that, or is that something that's already locked into your diary, or is it a kind of a suck it and see, considering all the delays of everything?
I think there will be a film. I think that will happen. A lot of the thing with it now is trying to get everybody together at the same time, because everyone is so busy. But I think the plan is to do it. I think it's the end of the TV show for now in this current form, and I think Steve Knight is definitely keen to make a film. So fingers crossed. Be great. 50-year-old Tommy Shelby.
But you only look 40, so it'd be grand. You've got a birthday coming up.
Oh, no, we don't need to talk about that, Dermot. Let's not talk about that.
You're obviously not getting an invite to the party, Dermot. Although we do need to talk about the fact that you very kindly wrote the foreword for Dermot's best-selling book.
I was just going to bring this up, Dave. Yeah, congratulations, Dermot, on your #1 bestseller. Congratulations, man. It's fantastic.
Thanks a million. Well, it's a joint effort because you wrote the foreword, so, you know.
I must read the book sometime.
Well, actually, one of the main things that people send to me is how nice your foreword was and how true all the great, nice things you said about me were.
They are true. They are true.
Is it a hard thing to write when somebody says, will you write the foreword to my book?
No, it's easier when you know someone, as long as we know each other, I think, you know. And because it was also genuinely something that I became interested in thanks to you. And it's been very useful to me, you know. So, no, it wasn't difficult. There's a lot of stuff I would like to have said, but I didn't, Dermot.
That's a book I want to read.
Well done on The Quiet Place 2. It's an incredible film. I can't wait, not only for people to see the film, but to be back in the cinema and watching it, you know, and getting that whole experience. And your portrayal of Emmett in the film is absolutely brilliant. So well done. You should be very proud.
Thanks, lads. Great to talk to you, as always.